Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at Extra Impetus 4. This is basically your army lists, the fourth book in the series. And this covers basically the classical age of the Ancients era. Like it says down here, it's got the age of hoplites, Alexander and his successors, and of course Rome and the Mediterranean. In other words, its opponents. Let's take a look. This is a standard book format for Dadi and Palumbo, the Impetus Rules publishers. The author, of course, is Lorenzo Sartori, the author of the game system, Impetus. Softback. The pages are pretty thick, a little bit standard than a normal magazine, so it's a sturdy little book. It comes to about 47 pages, including the back cover. Let's take a look and see what's inside. Well, first of all, the one thing we always expect with Impetus source books is the full color pages and the gloss pages, and this is no exception. And it starts off with the Age of Hoplites, and here's the four sections: Age of Hoplites, Alexander, and Rome and the Mediterranean. And there's a campaign in here called Alexandrus, basically covering Alexander, one of his little excursions. And some tutorials, some additional rules for generals, and some official amendments. Like every book that you get in the Extra Impetus series, they throw in as much as they can, so it's not just colorful pictures and army lists. There's usually something else in there, like a scenario or campaign system for the period, or what have you. Okay, let's take a look at the armies here and see what we're getting. First of all, the first section is the Age of Hoplites. And of course, it starts off with a little background. The Persian Wars, Peloponnesian Wars, the rise and fall of Thebes, and all that good stuff. A little bit of history there, a little two-page spread. And then it goes into the army lists. Here we have the Athens, the Army of Athens, and the time period it covers. Then a second list is another Athens list, which covers a later period for Athenians. You got Thebes and the Spartans, the minor Greek cities, Ionian Greeks, Thessaly, all kinds of Greek armies here. Then it goes into their enemies, the Persians, the Achaemenid Persians, for instance, and the Thracians and Illyrians. So yeah, it's well covered. That goes up to about page 10 in the book. So you're getting a slew of lists for the Age of Hoplites. Pretty good, pretty decent. Then it goes into Alexander the Great and his successors. All this good stuff. Again, a little background history on the events of Alexander. Beautiful pictures. And then we go into the army lists. We got the early Macedonians, Alexandrian Macedonians, the Empire of Alexander, the classical Indians, more Achaemenid Persians, Aetolian League, Ptolemaics, Middle Ptolemaics, Achaean League. Galatians, Greco-Bactrian, you got early Seleucids, and so on. These are all the opponents that Alexander faced during his lifetime. And then it goes, convenient enough, right into a little campaign game, Alexandros or Alexandrus, to conquer an empire. And I'll just read the introduction here. This campaign follows a pre-established sequence and can end with the final victory. Alexander can be killed. The campaign is for 2 players. Doesn't need an umpire. Players can swap roles. Basically, it looks to be a fixed number of battles. As it shows right here, you play these battles in order, I guess, and it shows the scenarios. I never played this. I haven't done much classical era gaming. I'd like to. But this looks to be a nice little campaign if you're interested in Alexander the Great and his little escapades, we can say. And this looks like it's an overview of Alexander starting in Macedonia, working his way to the Battle of Granicus and Issus, through Egypt, Gaugamela, Bactria, and so on, all the way into India. So I guess you play a certain number of battles in a certain order, and all kinds of fun things can happen. Well, that's a brief look at the campaign. There's probably more to it than I just described. But it's nice to have these scenarios. It shows the scenarios for each one. Okay, and then we get into Rome and the Mediterranean, the third section of the book. And as you'd expect, that's the Second Punic War. All the histories there. It looks like to be a 4-page spread here, just on the history. About 5 pages goes into the Macedonian Wars. All kinds of good stuff there. I love this picture here. That's nice. Beautiful. And then it goes into the army lists. And we got the Second Punic War, Carthaginians. That's a pretty full list. The various barbarians like the Gauls, Iberians, and Spanish types. Then the Romans, their list is quite big. As you can see, it's a full page there. And that's the Middle Republican Romans, 264 to 146 BC. It even goes into a little bit on the line relief system between Hastati and Princeps in the game and how it works, which is nice. I think Impetus really covers Romans well historically, a lot better than some other rules that I've seen. Anyway, you got the Numidians, later Macedonians, later Seleucids. There's some of the opponents they face. So it's quite a few army lists. It's a nice assortment. And then, of course, tutorials. We got a particular cases of melees. Some melee examples to help clarify the rules a little bit. And some additional rules for generals that you can add to your games. And some official amendments. And these you can get on the website as well. So you don't have to go out of your way to buy the book just to get the amendments or changes. You can get these free on the Impetus website as well. But if you don't have access to that, you do get it in printed format when you buy the army lists. So there it is, Extra Impetus number 4. Army list campaigns and tutorials. Classical era, my friends. And there's a lot of lists. There's a good listing of all the army lists that are included. I like this. I don't do enough of this era of gaming, but I intend to. Right now I think my collections are pretty much limited to the Second Punic War Romans, and I do have some later Seleucids as well, which are fun to play with. Not big, substantial armies. I use them for basic Impetus. I have plenty of unpainteds, but I just never took them that far yet. Great period. Grab this. If you play Impetus, it gives you a good complete listing of army lists that you can add to your games if you love this era of warfare, and in particular if you love the Impetus game system. Grab it. And of course, like I said before, full color spread. You get all these pictures, and which are excellent painting guides too. You know, just looking at the pictures themselves. So you're getting a lot for your money here. You're not just getting numbers and army lists. You're getting a lot of inspiration, painting guides, and examples of how to base your units, really. Okay, folks, there you go. Extra Impetus 4, highly recommended if you play the Impetus game system. Great book.